Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of this life? These are questions that invariably pop up at various points in people's lives. So I'm going to ask you, who are you?
Definitely not Mitra. But I'm existence. I am energy right now, experiencing myself in physicality, individual character called Mitra, but I'm also part of the whole right now, in this moment, in this experience, being Mitra. But really, that's the most important part, that I'm just a little bit of a whole existence. And that really answers a lot of questions for me. If I'm existence, I cannot not exist. I exist all the time.
It sounds really nice. I'm existence. I'm one with everything. We've heard that. We've all heard that, right? It sounds esoteric. And for me, I understand you. I've gotten tastes. I've tasted that feeling of just melting, the identity of self melting away in meditation and becoming one with everything. And it was this weird dichotomy of one, such beauty, peace, and love, and also fear. If I'm all of this, then who is Ben? What is this? What is the purpose? It goes back to, what is the purpose of this life? But let's put this in terms that we can relate to a little bit more. When I am existence, what does that mean? If I am existence, then who is the Mitra that goes about day to day? And what is driving her?
Which are the consequence kind of questions of why I'm here and what's going on. But let's stay with this. I want to hear, first of all, who are you, Ben?
I'm still figuring it out, Mitra. I'm still figuring it out. I don't know yet. And I get these glimpses even this morning. As you know, I've been processing a lot. I've had a number of things going on in my life, the fires and being displaced, other personal things that have been going on in my life. And I've been doing this work of letting go, and letting go, and letting go. And invariably, when you're letting go and letting go of control, you get to a point of, well, who's in control then? And who am I? And there was this experience of just being presence, pure awareness. That's perfect. Nothing actually needs to be done. The mind is so used to experiencing life, solving problems, doing this and that. The idea of being in total stillness and absorbed in just consciousness, just that awareness that is perfect as it is, that doesn't need to do anything, that doesn't need to identify with anything, that needs no mind. It just is. It's a shock to the psyche, to the ego, and yet it feels so much more true than being this individual identity, Ben Dadbin, who is here to solve his own problems in life. And, that's what I'll say for now.
And then the question of control becomes irrelevant.
It becomes irrelevant. And then the question of, then what's the point of this life comes up, right? If I'm this if I'm this awareness and it's perfect as it is, it doesn't need to do anything. And why do I need to do anything? I reach states sometimes where I'm just at peace with not doing anything. It's like, this is bliss. Why would I leave bliss to go about my day-to-day activities? Yeah. Why even continue living if I realize that I'm not there yet, but these questions do come up. What's the point of continuing this life if I'm not this body and I'm beyond this body, and this life is a virtual reality? What is the purpose of this life?
Play. Play. That's exactly what we do when we don't have anything else to do, don't we? That's what they call it. What, Sunday Fun Day? That's what it is. When we let go of the work, and that's why every ism creates that space for us, or at least invites us to that space of nothingness. So we can ask these questions, actually. It's interesting that your conclusion was if I don't have anything to do, I might as well just like wrap it up and go. And I'm thinking, if there's nothing else to do, let's go and play. Can we play?
I love that. I love
It's just like,
that.
why not? Let's just go and play. And then play becomes a new life. That's in my view. I'm writing a book about this. Literally, we're here to play. And through that play, I mean, it sounds childish because we've always discounted things that children are interested. And I actually am very interested in what they're interested, because they haven't been conditioned with this survivalist kind of life. So when there is nothing else to do, if you think your survival is fine, then we can play. And in that play, that the expansion, the experiences, and a lot of other good things happen. So exploration happens. That's the first thing. In the state of play, I explore because I don't have a rigid agenda. I go there. Just imagine we're with a kid. If you and I took a kid to nature, somewhere, new, you and I want to know, what's the name? Where is it? Where does it belong? How come I haven't been here? How much is this? How long is the acres of this? Like, this is what mind wants to know. The kid says, I don't care. Can we play? Oh my God, see this leaf. Can you see how many lines are there? That kid is exploring. That kid is getting really far more than you and I calculating how far is it from this place and how come this and who takes care of it and how many years has it been here. Who cares? I teach Rumi classes sometimes, and it's very fascinating. Like about 45 minutes of the class, they want to know, when did he live? Where was he from? There's a whole discussion happening over, everybody wants to claim it because he was born in Great Persia, that now it's part of Afghanistan. So Afghani says, and then he went to, like us, immigrated to another country, went to Turkey. So Turkish says and then I'm thinking, who cares? Look at the wisdom. Okay, he's your uncle. I give it to you. But so what I do is now I address that in the beginning of the class, actually. So it's out of the way. I give it like a whole history, which is ridiculous. We're thinking about philosophy, but that's fine. I give them a history, how it happened, how the teacher came, how Shams came. It's exactly like that. The kid that you and I will take into nature, that kid is interested in exploration and hence creates an experience that is amazing and hence expands. So expansion, exploration, and experiences. That's what that kid is doing.
Expansion. So you brought up a key point. I think play, I love what you shared, because I think playfulness and joyousness is our nature. It's what happens when we don't have the ego and all of our programming and all of that stuff in the way, and we're in the moment. Play is just, you can't help but to play. You just you want to dance, you want to play. Curiosity is heightened, and I think there's more meaning to life. I think play is an aspect of it, playing and expanding. And I even think there's more to it than that. Let's be curious about what expansion is
But you
for
can't
you.
expand before you explore. I need to be curious to explore in order to expand. Expanded is not an order like by 9:30, please expand. It's an exploration, it's an experience, and then it naturally happens. And you're right, it's not, I mean, I was,
It
underplaying
naturally
it.
happens.
It naturally
We don't have
happened.
to do it. We don't have to
No,
find meaning in life. We don't
no.
need to figure out our purpose. It naturally just happens.
Yes,
It's follow your bliss. Following your bliss it's what you're saying. Follow what brings you
exactly.
joy.
Exactly.
And play and dance and sing your way there. And
And
it'll
it will
naturally come
happen.
through us.
Yes. No need to control, no need to rigid plan. Sure, I want to know, which road to take. Those are fine. But when you go over that sort of line and then want to control, you use that word, and I'm going to not let it go because that's the key word. It's a key energy actually in our life that we want to control, and control is contraction. I want to command my life. Yeah. But commanding is just to get into the natural, all of these things that we need to do. We want to get into the state of playfulness and what they call flow and organic expansion that takes place. So what we really need to do is to remove the barriers because they were all naturally there. And we have like drawn these curtains and we say, where? I can see it. Where is it? It's like, just draw the curtains and you will see them. Meet me there, as Rumi says. Beyond all of this, there is a place that there is no judgment, there is no shoulds, there is no musts, and you can meet me there. And then together, naturally, we will explore. We get curiosity, exploration. We get experiences as a result. And then we will expand. You and I probably will come back, and I'm exaggerating, talking about like how heavy the traffic was, how good or bad the food was. And the kid says, but I connect. Did you see? Like that little rabbit talked to me. And we're saying, shh, I'm driving. And the child says, but really, the rabbit, and the child is right. Maybe not in words, but as they connected, because we are one, the kid picked up the connection. What did I pick up if I was in my fear state? I picked up the traffic. I picked up, did it go according to my plan? I wanted to come back at 6 and it's now 6:30. Like, that's where I am. I understand I'm exaggerating to take a point home. I'm doing it intentionally, but I'm just saying that's the difference.
Yeah. The Rumi quote, which I love, I'm going to read it aloud here. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
Yes. Oh, I got shivers. Yes.
I had asked ChatGPT, how would Alan Watts answer the question, who am I and why am I here? I'm going to read you the why am I here, and I think you'll resonate with this. You are here because the universe is playing, dancing, and exploring itself. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a process to be experienced. There is no ultimate why, because existence itself is its own purpose. Just as music exists to be heard and enjoyed, life exists to be lived in its fullness.
Oh, I never checked that. This is amazing. Because truth is one. We may use different language to express it. I mean, it doesn't belong to anyone. Nobody said it first because truth has always been. And we just express it that way. Yeah, that is true. For me, truly, that is my experience. It's not even like something that I think sounds good. It is because I do get, I mean, you know me, you've seen me. I get to that playfulness state quite often because I have like I've done all of my work has been to remove. It hasn't been to add, to be honest with you. I don't go anywhere to learn. I go there to learn how to remove the barriers to my learning that can happen naturally. I'm learning every second. I don't need to take classes. You know?
What we're talking about sounds idealistic. To the mom of 3 kids who's also working a full-time job and is struggling to make ends meet, hearing this is probably going to make her angry, you know? Or to the man who has devoted his life to providing for his family and has created a successful life for him and his family and provided for his family and takes a lot of pride in that. That man would probably also say, you're not realistic because I wouldn't be able to provide for my family if I was just, woohoo, let me play and dance and sing with the universe and just exist for the joy of existing.
Yes. Been there, done that, by the way, because you were describing me, both the man and the woman. There is a time that is time for survival. Like when there were fires here, I wasn't singing and dancing. I was actually trying to help my family and my loved ones. And then after that, those that I could help. So I understand survival. Believe me, I understand it a little bit too well, actually, because I've survived so many things. But then I'm saying beyond those survival moments, know that there exists playfulness. We started chatting before this session, and that's exactly what I told you. You said, "How are you?" And I said, well, there are two people living in me, especially right now. There is the one that is concerned about the individual issues and my city, my country, and the world I live in. And then there is this little kid that is having so much fun. She's so excited. And they both live in the same room. They share a bedroom. They're not separated. So I understand survival. I understand there are times that I need to focus on something else. My only invitation to those who are listening is that please don't forget about the play and playfulness that brings about. Don't even think about exploration and expansion and experiences. Just bring the little bit of the child, the happy child in there, and see what happens, because we have really killed that child.
I would even say, Mitra, that we don't have to do anything. We don't need to bring the child even. When we come into this moment, that natural childlike self emerges.
Yes,
When
but the
we are
child is the
fully,
tool to come to this moment.
but it's not like I need to like, where's the child? Because I can see how the mind can now kind of objectify there's this child. I need to find this child and bring him. Where's the child, right?
No, where is the playfulness?
Even the playfulness, it's not something to look for. You know, to want playfulness, to say, okay, I'm not playful, I want it, is actually taking you away from playfulness.
Well, that's the ideal scenario that you're talking about. The fact is, most of us have covered it up and need to invite it. It's just like, where is it? If I haven't practiced that, that's a much, much deeper state you're talking about. The state that you're speaking about is true, naturally exists. We don't need to do it. But when we have covered it up so much, we need to take the sheets out and make sure we see it. And that's the process. And how it works, it depends on, I'm hearing you that you are more focused on your mind. So you need to do what the mind likes to hear. Some people are more focused on their emotions. So they need to do what the emotions say. But the reason we need to do it intentionally, and I really want to say that very clearly, because everybody says, if it's that natural, why should I do anything? I say, because you've covered it up. It's like this pen exists, but if I have covered it with 18 things, I need to take those 18 things out so I can see, oh, yes, I do have a pen.
This is where how you frame things works differently for different people.
Yes.
What I'm talking about is not an ideal state. You know, I'm someone who has been so used to using my mind to figure out and problem solve in a deep-rooted way, be in survival. Anything that involves kind of like, oh, I'm not playful, I should go and look for playfulness. It takes me to this part of my mind which is so used to taking charge and control and figuring out that for me, my access point to that playfulness has not been that. It's been just literally the moment I can be in this moment, the playfulness arises. I get giddy and I want to laugh. I want to go do something fun, surfing, whatever. And it comes when I get out of the head. I might notice the head is anxious, right? And I just be with that. I'm present with that. So speaking to removing the barriers, right? So, okay, anxiousness is there. What am I anxious about? Oh, I'm not being productive enough. Let's be present with that feeling. I don't want to resist that feeling and then try and find playfulness while that feeling is in the background, like you're not productive enough. Sitting with that and feeling the discomfort of that, and there really is no rationalization for me. It's just like, there's what is productiveness anyways? Who cares about that? there's just this realization that comes to my mind that like I can get these things done anytime. What is in my highest joy right now? It could be that what's in my highest joy is to work on things, to work on some projects I'm on. But it could also be that my highest joy is to go surfing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Either or works. I don't need to set any rules or boundaries. And then it just opens up. But I'm in the moment. I'm present with everything that is happening, and it flows like that.
Fascinating to listen to you and hear your process, Ben. It's
Mm.
so interesting. I was talking about no boundaries. I was not talking about any rules. That's so interesting that your mind interpreted it that way. I'm saying,
Mm.
I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I wonder if I was playful, what would happen? There's no, like, where's the rule in that? That's how I would go about it. But when I heard you and your process, yeah, it sounds like not the right thing to do. But I would just, I'm tense. I connect to my body. I realize I'm getting like a little bit too in survival mode, and I ask myself, if playfulness was here, how would I? Immediately I go, but that's me. That's why there is no prescription for anyone.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, have that in the background, go and apply it. Some assembly required, and assembly depends on, it's not like IKEA assembly 1, 2, 3, you should do this. It really, you are your own instruction. But for me, it was fascinating to listen to you, Ben. For me, it's like I feel tense and I think, I wonder, I go into wonderland. If playfulness was present, how would I deal with this differently? Immediately, I would say, you know what? I'm going to do it. But right after I eat, and I'm just going to do it in half an hour. And it's almost like the adult in me says, like, she doesn't know better. Let her just get stuck. And then the child goes and eats and has fun and listens to the music in half an hour or so. Not exactly, just gets done and says, "Here, is that what you were talking about?" And adult thinks like, but did you do this and did you follow the rules? Like, no, but I did it. Does that work? So it's just that conversation needs to happen. That, like, it's a dance. That's how I see it, not as a rule, but it was just so good to hear, because I'm sure a lot of us have that voice in, and many voices in between my voice and yours, that we need to really learn from that there is no one way, as long as whatever works for you.
As I was hearing you speak, what dawned on me is that different people have different amounts of resistance within them. The inner critic is at different volumes for different people. Some people, the volume of that inner critic is much lower and less frequent. For other people, it's much higher and way more frequent. For other people, that aspect of self that is constantly wanting to control
Mhm.
is much more prominent compared to the self that's more centered and wise. Your volumes are very different than my volumes, than very many other people's volumes, right? So your dialogue is naturally going to be different and your process is going to be different. For
Yes.
me, whose controller aspects are much stronger, right, and more present, it takes a little bit more time to calm those parts of the self down, to allow the voice, the wiser self, to be
Yes.
heard and felt.
And that was a very good discussion to arrive at that, because I'm sure a lot of people are listening and thinking like, no, it's not that easy, or it's not that difficult for me. And there are many shades there. And we just work with ourselves. Doesn't matter where it is. What matters is that we're just working with ourselves, and we're bringing that sense of, you know, it's okay where I am, so I can get to where I want to get. And where do I want to get? I don't even know, but I just want to explore.
And I think you brought this up a couple times. A key point is just knowing that the possibility exists.
Yes.
Sometimes that's all we need. We're so enmeshed
Mhm.
in our own problems and issues and the challenges of life that we forget that there is a possibility where there can be joy and lightheartedness and play.
Yes.
And so to know that that possibility exists for us already can do so much, because we can start to move in that direction. It is a process of just, in the beginning, of just removing the barriers, the fears, the insecurities, the grief, the sadness, whatever it is, removing the layers so that we can get closer and closer to this state that we're talking about.
You asked a question of why are we here then? And I think that first answer, however we answer it, by the way, there's no one answer or right answer, that answers of why we're here. So if I'm here to play and explore and expand and experience, and then a sense of sharing that I'm adding to this, because, as I'm experiencing, experiences become available to everybody. And now
Yeah.
science shows that. So that's how athletes break a sort of a, barrier. And then after that, then that becomes the standard. Something that, 20 years ago, only like 2 people in the world could do. Now every young kid on the street can do, because the standard changed. So whether we want it or not, when we are in that state, we are actually in the sharing and unity state. Because in the state of play, I'm not protecting myself. I'm not separating myself. So I am one with all that is in this world. And as a result, whatever I explore, whatever I experience, and however I expand, it will affect other existences around me. Because remember, my answer was, again, it's just my answer. If I'm part of this whole, as I expand, does the whole full expansion or existence also expand? Yes, it does, because I'm part of a whole. When I'm this much, I'm this much, and then when I expand, then the whole existence is expanding with me. So now the play becomes even more interesting, because now I'm playing and I'm enjoying and I'm expanding and I'm experiencing, and then other possibilities also around me become part of my experience. You were exploring the trees, I was exploring the river, and the kid was exploring the animals in nature. Now, between the 3 of us, now we have a full experience of the nature and so much to share with each other. And then that becomes the reason that we went to that place in the first place.
Yeah, I love what you're sharing. And I really resonated with what you said about, if I'm expanding, everyone is expanding. All of existence is expanding.
Yeah.
And it's a point that David R. Hawkins, whose work I follow closely, guides me, he makes frequently. The biggest contribution that anyone can make to humanity is not to try and fix or solve anything outside. It's to heal ourselves. The more we're doing to expand our own consciousness, which includes, by the way, being in a state of joy and peace and love, everybody is benefiting. We have our physical body. Our physical body is interconnected. Everything affects everything in our body. If I have a problem with my tooth, it can affect my liver. Okay. And my heart, if my heart is not properly functioning and blood is not properly pumping to the various parts of the body, invariably those other parts of the body are going to stop functioning as well, which causes a whole chain reaction of things that impacts the body. So if my heart is really, really healthy, my whole body is benefiting. So if we take all of existence as an entire body, then if you, as one part of this existence, is enjoying life in a state of love, in a state of peace, then all of existence has to be benefiting from it. This was a big paradigm shift for me, because I was someone who often before, oh my God, enjoying myself just for the sake of doing something that brings me joy, was always riddled with guilt. I should be doing something more. I should be, I need to be more productive with my time. I can't waste my time like this. Life is not meant to just sit around and lollygag and enjoy the sunshine and the flowers. Now it's very different. It's like, no, I'm going out. I'm going to go on a nice nature walk with my dog Marley, and it's going to be an extended walk. And I know that that nourishes my soul. I'm going to give myself permission for it to nourish my soul. And I know that me doing that for myself, everybody is benefiting from it. It's such a paradigm shift.
It is. And then it makes it very different the way we show up. Now, I don't want to be better than you. Now I don't want to, that the whole thing. By the way, what you said, I know it sounds like only recent people have talked about this, but Sadi, who is an amazing poet and philosopher, in those days poets were philosophers, in Persian language he wrote. There's a line that I remember in Iran, the first poem that we learned in our time was this poem. We had to memorize it. That it says, the children of Adam are limbs of one another, created from the same essence. When one limb is affected with pain, the other limbs cannot remain at ease. If you are indifferent to the suffering of others, you cannot be called a human being. And this is the non-rhythmic version. It's actually very rhythmic if you say it in Farsi.
Can you say it in Farsi?
Sure, I was going to do that. Yeah. بنی آدم اعضای یکدیگرند که در آفرینش ز یک گوهرند. چو عضوی به درد آورد روزگار، دگر عضوها را نماند قرار. تو کز مهنت دیگران بیغمی، نشاید که نامد دهند آدمی.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. So yes, there is no need after that. So a lot of things, I mean, this is just fascinating. What a prison we have created. We're the prison maker. We are the prisoner. We're the prison guard, and we're holding the key in one hand and complaining in another hand about the life that we have created. If I am one, if I am in that state of expansion and exploration, then I don't need to protect myself from you, because whatever you have, whatever you gain, it will be my gain. So if anything, I would like to facilitate that. If I see you interested in the trees, instead of saying, oh, I better see more of my whatever I was watching, I say, hey, Ben, there's also that tree. You want to go and see that and explore that? Because I know that exploration will add to my exploration, and my exploration will add to yours. So this disease of separation is the disease that we have created in the land of fear.
Thank you.
Well, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Can you tell with what energy, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, you came in to the session, and how are you leaving it?
All I can say is this, that I'm leaving the conversation with a greater sense of levity, a greater sense of joy and openness. The conversation was a beautiful reminder for me.
And my invitation to those who are listening is that try it for a day or so, and you don't like it, you get full refund. You can bring it back. You haven't lost anything.
All right. Until next time, Mitra.
Take care.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.